Welcome, Stacey. There's some really cool topics I wanted to actually dive into with you. I know that you are a specialist in breath work, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to learn a little bit more about the different types of breath work. And I seem to be referring a lot of people to breath work at the moment. So
Yeah.
I wanted to really get a good podcast that I can go, watch this.
Yeah. I love
Welcome,
that.
Stacey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm super excited and it has been a long time coming and it always happens with divine timing. So we're here.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you've been traveling.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you're doing all around Australia at the moment.
Yes. So almost 12 months to the day, actually. We packed up our life in Kilmore and we started traveling around Australia. And it's been honestly one of the most incredible experiences that we've had and that our kids have had. That doesn't come without it actually being a big adjustment, going from a four-bedroom home to a tiny tin can caravan. So we've been traveling for the last 12 months around Australia. We went up from Melbourne to Yeppoon and then up to Exmouth and then cut across the middle. It's been such an incredible experience. And yes, it's had challenges, been a bit of an adjustment for everybody in the family. However, it's been such a growth journey for me personally as well. The first 3 months, I honestly was like, what have we done? I just wanted to go home. I was really like not enjoying it. There was the kids, Jared, like throwing all of it, the dogs. We got two Labradors we travel with as well. So throwing us all in the mix. And so it came to Christmas time, and we'd already had the intention to go back to Melbourne, see everyone for about 3 or 4 weeks. And I run an event down there as well. And so we're like, that's it. We have to change what we're doing and be flexible to the approach. And that comes back to mindset work and going, no, we're going to change our strategy. And since then, it has been an absolutely epic experience. And just seeing so much of Australia has really blown my mind and opened my awareness to how like there's more than just the little box that we put ourselves in. And it's yeah. Anyway, actually I 10 out of 10 recommend. And we'd never been caravanning ever. Like so
Oh,
we were total
wow.
newbies. I'd probably been camping maybe 4 times in my whole life. So I was a very big adjustment. However, it's just I can't recommend it enough.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually grew up like a little gypsy, traveling around Australia. My dad would pretty much have 6 months work and then 6 months on the road.
I love that.
So there was a particular time where I was out of the grid, I guess you could say,
Mm.
for 12 months. So I had to do school of the air, and now I'm really showing my age because there
Yes.
wasn't an internet back then. We'd have to go to cattle stations and actually tune into the radio school.
Well, there still is School of the Air. You can enroll your kids into it. However, now you get your school books delivered and you still send it in. However, you tune in via Zoom. So it's still something you can do. And we follow a program called Yuka. Again, you get all your schoolwork given to you, tells you how to teach, what to do. You do about an hour a day and we adventure the rest of the day. So I think it's like that was another big part of travel is realizing that there's so many ways that you can do things in life. And like for you guys, even back then, I'm sure there's some of the best experiences and memories you've had as a child growing
You
up.
know, I've been talking about it a lot lately. I've been sort of interested in the shamanic side of things and
Mm,
learning a little bit more, especially with my new energy system coming through my
yeah.
lanta. It's earth-based. So
Yeah.
I've been sort of really getting into it, learning a bit more, made my own drum, you name it. And
Oh, I love
um
that.
and I realized it sort of came full loop because I was an only child
Mm,
and we would spend so many months on the road. And I remember there was a period of time where I hadn't seen another child in 2 months.
wow.
It was maybe even longer because we were
Mm,
in the deep, deep,
yeah.
deep, uh, sort
Really
of like
remote.
Alice Springs area, but
Yeah.
really, really, really outback
Mm,
Australia where it's just red dirt and nothing else.
yeah.
So the only people you would actually see was the Indigenous tribes. And my dad somehow managed, I don't know how he did it all the time, but he managed to get the tribes to let us onto land that white man wasn't allowed on.
Wow. That's
And
so
I
incredible.
know, and we would share meals and hunting,
Yeah.
I won't
Mm,
share what we hunted.
yeah.
We would actually have meals with the Indigenous
Mm,
tribes, and I was having this. This is going off topic a little
yeah.
bit. I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and I thought that it was a language barrier. I thought that they didn't
Mm.
speak English, but she was saying that she's been doing a lot of research about the Indigenous tribes of Australia and how they actually don't verbally communicate very much. They
Yeah,
actually do speak in their own form of telepathic communication. And
yeah,
it blew my mind. All these memories came up, and I was like, oh my God, that is so true. The children that I used to play with, they didn't talk. They were like, they talked, maybe they used certain words, but they were communicating in a different way. Sorry, this
yeah.
went totally off topic, but how
No,
interesting is that?
it is, and it is that full circle moment. And even now, though we weren't didn't go that remote, however, places we did some cattle, some farm stays and cattle stations, etc. And you watch the kids and the way they interact. It is a lot. There's more to communication than just the words
Mm,
that we speak. And we both know through our own practices that communication plays a big part of it, and that self communication, that self talk, and letting it out. And it was so interesting to watch the kids just form friendships like that, and without the limitations, without holding the fear, holding themselves back. And
yeah,
they didn't, like, we met a lot of overseas children come, particularly in WA, like it's a hotspot coming from Europe.
yeah,
And so they just got on, they communicated well, they understood each other's needs, and they just had fun. And
yeah.
I think like that ties as well into breath work and what we're going to speak about, because a lot of the times as adults, we've grown up with these beliefs, these hesitations, these fears, these limiting beliefs, the voices in our head that, we replay all the conversations. It's so noisy. And if we can strip all that part back and using breath work as part of that as a tool,
Yeah.
then we can actually just be ourselves and have that freedom and that, flexibility and live life. I feel like it's not about being happy, it's fulfillment, because there's going
Yeah.
to be times where we're feeling grief, we're feeling joy, love, passion, all of the feelings, but it's like feeling fulfilled, So I'm excited to chat more about that.
Absolutely. This is a really important podcast because
Mm,
I actually did some of your breathwork classes and it was phenomenal. I had completed excuse me if I'm calling it the
yeah,
wrong thing, holotopic breath work
holotropic,
before.
yeah,
Tropic. I always say
yeah,
topic. I don't know.
yeah.
Now it's stuck and it's probably gonna be like that forever. And I've even run my own class. I am
Mm,
trained in it too,
mm,
with the assistance of other
mm,
healers as well. The experience was phenomenal. I'm hoping that you'll go a little
mm,
deeper about why the experience is so profound and so transformational.
mm,
And I think that we really need to dive into this because I don't know about you, but I've been speaking to a lot of other consultants and therapists of all different modalities. And we're all seeing a consistent thread this year of people that aren't really in the spiritual community, aren't really presenting as conscious beings,
mm.
coming into our studios or our therapy rooms and saying, listen, I'm at the end of my rope. I am
Yeah,
done. I can't do this anymore.
mm,
There's got to be something else because if there's not, I'm out.
yeah,
Now, I'm sorry if that's triggering to anybody, but it is something that needs to be talked about because they need rapid
mm,
transformation because they've already gone through the Western medicine, mental health side of things. They've already been spat out of the system, thrown a few pills, and off they go.
yeah,
They've run out of options. So they're
yeah.
coming to us more in the holistic community
Mm,
to go, okay, well, what else is there? Now, in my experience, and I'm hoping to get some insight from you as
mm,
well, they're the ones getting the most profound, incredible transformation because they're coming in with this attitude, I've got nothing to lose. And
mm,
they are literally ricochet and going full 360. I am shocked, amazed, in awe. I'm referring them to breathwork too because they're doing such rapid transformational work. Breathwork is an incredible way to unearth some of that trauma
yeah,
fast and effectively and
yeah,
safely in the right
yes.
hands like yours. I'll give you the floor. Tell us a little bit about that.
Breathwork has been one of the most pivotal things as part of my business. Yes, I'm an NLP practitioner. I've done level one Reiki. I've done a whole lot of life experience and modalities. In my own personal journey, I was in an armed robbery. And so I went through the system of psychology and, talk therapy and things like that. So I feel like for me, it was this part of going, okay, we can do traditional talk therapy. As you mentioned, a lot of people get prescribed pills and off you go and just deal with it. That's my favorite one. And then, I found NLP and started doing timeline therapy and emotional change technique and hypnotherapy. And that was great, getting amazing results, like personally and professionally. And then though breath work was, I feel like, the missing piece for so many people. And you're right, I am seeing a lot of people who, particularly, it's kind of like late 30s, 40s, even up to 50s, they're going through their life and they got to this point and they're like, what is wrong with me? Why? And the thoughts keep circling, and fears, and they're overthinking and self-sabotage, all of these problems. And they're the symptoms, really. But breath work has allowed those people who are so stuck in their head in the day-to-day, like they're almost like, is it analytical, the type A women and men, if we're looking at personality types, they're so in their head and so about the facts and the data and everything. And they're like, I've tried everything. But the problem is because they're so stuck in their head, they're unable to actually have that release of emotion, or they've been taught, like if we look at where our beliefs and our fears and our fears are all created, it's from that 0 to 7 age bracket in our imprint age. If we're looking back there, every single shadow fear, everything I've worked with clients comes back to a time in their childhood. Now, it doesn't mean they've had a bad childhood, and some have, sadly. However, even something as simple as a teacher at school being like, oh, that's not good enough, you need to do better, has created a belief that they're not good enough. And that is a very basic example. However, I want to link this to breathwork for you guys, especially if you're unaware about breathwork, because it's not just the physical release at breathwork, it's everything that gets undone along that timeline going back.
Yeah.
So if we've created that belief, we've had the lens for our whole life, our rose-tinted glasses, every interaction you'll go into is underlying, I'm not good enough. And the thoughts start to go. And then, you think about it, we go through teenage years, 20s, 30s. If you're a parent, like having kids completely is a rebirth in itself. Every child, I've got 4 beautiful children, and everyone has taught me different things about myself and helped me grow. And then I'm seeing this age bracket of the late 30s, 40s, 50s, of they're pulling their hair out going, I'm begging for help and I can't get any help through the traditional ways. Now, why breathwork is so pivotal, oh my gosh, word, Stacey, pivotal in their journey is because it actually drops, and particularly holotropic. So I'll go into a few different types of breathworks with you, particularly holotropic, which, just a warning, never do it alone at home. This is a particular breathwork that you need to be supervised by someone who has been trained in the modality. It breaks that barrier between our conscious brain and our thinking and our everyday what is going on to the unconscious. And by doing the particular type of breath it drops that critical barrier. So we're able to access the trauma, we're able to access the deeper emotions, we're able to access things from the past and have most of the time a physical release. And this may be crying, it may be people just feeling like, oh my gosh, all these things are coming up. Now, for those that are stuck in their head all the time, being able to access that part of their brain is something new for them. And so having that quick actual release in a safe environment allows them to then open up going, hey, there's actually more going on. So I feel like whether or not you're into the spiritual community and quite open to breath work, or the people who are quite shut off, it's about being able to open yourself up more because you're not consciously thinking about it. Because a lot of the time I hear, and myself, was I don't have time for meditation. I can't sit still. My thoughts just keep racing, like all of these things. But holotropic breathwork allows you to, it's kind of, you go to this beautiful place where it all just is clear. It all stops and it allows it to come forward what needs to be worked through. So for breathwork for me has been huge, huge thing for my clients, and as well as that you've experienced, Sarah, because it allows things to come up. And sometimes you go in with an intention and something else will come up for you for the surface to work through. Or, if you're a little bit in the spiritual community, like sometimes you have visions and messages that come up for you, and it's quite exciting. However, I love like working with that particular age group who have never really tapped into anything, because it's like an awakening for them. That's the best way I can explain it.
It is.
So it's such a beautiful experience to watch them transform in that session. Like one of the women who came to my February events, she was very anti anything outside of the normal box, the system. And she was like, I'm just coming because I know you, Stacey, and I'm curious. And I was like, that's all I ask. In the breath work, Now, it was an hour session, which sounds like a long time. It's really not. It goes like this. She had so much stored emotion come up in her body that she could not stop crying. And she was like, Stacey, that was the first time I've cried in 20 years. 20 years.
Wow.
She's been storing that emotion. And she later messaged me about a week or two later saying, Stacey, I've actually felt lighter. I felt freer. I
Yeah.
felt incredible. I'm like, yes, because that emotion has been stored, and she's actually got a New Zealand heritage. So there's a lot of like generational trauma as well that was coming up for her that she was unaware of. I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, she had that release, which then opened her up to go, hey, okay, I'm stuck in this loop. Traditional modern medicine isn't working for me right now, and I'm open to other therapies. So it was just so incredible to witness that. And now, we're September, this was only in February, we've done a breakthrough together, and she's a completely different woman. The overthinking has stopped. She's calm. She's, more confident. She can use her voice. Like, there was so much under those layers that come up that was just incredible. And she feels like she's a better mother because she's more patient. So yeah, I know I've gone really off track
No,
with
this is
that.
really important. And
Yeah.
this really links in with a lot of my teachings in the
Mm,
past podcasts. I talk about, you know, with I feel like we're really
yeah.
aligned with this kind of work as
Yeah.
well. There is a real issue in our industry with spiritual bypassing,
Yes.
where think positive,
Yeah.
don't worry, let's just, do all the fluff. And it's all well intentioned,
Mm,
absolutely. But if you don't get in and find out what energy is sitting in the system,
yeah.
because energy doesn't lie, and
Mm,
you can suppress all those emotions and all of that trauma as much as you like, but it is going to sit there in the energy field.
yeah.
And when it's sitting in that energy field, it is literally dragging down your vibration. And whatever
Yeah.
vibration you're on is what you're going to be calling more into. So if you are
Yeah.
sitting with suppressed, dense emotions, you're going to
Mm,
keep repeating the same experiences. And we call that karma, but it's the same scenarios, the same events. So when we start to clear this kind of trauma and this kind of density, and we
mm,
clear it for good, not just for a day. Your friend
yeah.
who cried for the first time in 20 years, she
Yeah.
cleared forever. It's not coming back.
Mm,
She's now raised to a particular vibration where she can have more of the good stuff in her life.
100%. And another thing that the storing of the emotion, there's a lot of evidence to show it can be linked to dis-ease in the body. I'm not sure if you've read the book, The Secret Language of the Body by Ina Segal.
Yeah.
It's literally my Bible. Anytime there's an ailment going on, I'm like, okay, look what it is emotionally. And every single time it's accurate. And this
Yeah.
is where breath work, and I suppose regular breath work, I've got some clients that go monthly to events if I'm not hosting them. And it's about, releasing the different layers, because you've got to think, like, say the client who came in February, we took one layer of the onion off. And sometimes there can be those multiple layers and dealing with the different emotions that come up for you. And though I love that you mentioned that the cycles will keep repeating, because that is so true. And even if we think about it in terms of a limiting belief and going, like, that is just a vibration, that is where your energy is sitting as well. It's like, okay, I've got a fear of failure or fear of not good enough. You're going to attack everything in your life with that same fear until you actually deal with it. The
Mm.
one thing that's really frustrating me, and I guess it's frustrating me because it's creating passion that I want to change, be a change maker in this industry like you do as well, is that it is that spiritual bypassing. Like, you tell people to, they say, oh, Stacey, I've done the work. I'm like, okay, that's great. I love that you've got the intention, but explain what you've done. And, being given just a journal prompt or just a positive affirmation to think positive, you are still staying in your head. You are not
Yes.
releasing
Yeah.
anything. It is all up here, because you can't think your way out of a problem. You
No.
actually have to have the somatic release out of it. And I love that breath work, can give, like, it's a huge immediate result for people. Like, yes, you can do, like, I do with my kids, like, we put the wiggles on and we shake the energy out.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of ways to release energy. However, coming back to breath work, you have that big release because we can get out of that fight or flight energy. We can get out of that fear,
Yeah.
that lack, wherever you're sitting in the vibration scale. And we can actually go into your parasympathetic and in that calm state. And when you're in a calmer state, you can actually make better decisions. You can react and respond differently. You
Yeah.
can actually not think about your problems. You can address your problems and your deeper shadows. If you're always sitting up here, which you look at society as a like majority at the moment, most people are sitting up here, and I hear it, oh, the cost of living, they're looking at the news, what's happening around the world. And I appreciate all of that is a lot for people. However, if you're sitting up here, you're only creating your own stress and you're
Yeah.
creating so much potential dis-ease in the body. And so being able to recognize that, okay, I'm living up here, I can have this release, beautiful release through breath
Mm.
work, then drop down, then in everyday life you can start to include it as well. Obviously
Yeah.
not holotropic breath work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know,
um
I feel like I want to share my really funny story. And if any of
mm,
my clients are listening, they will have a real giggle because they
mm,
still to this day, there's a couple of my clients that have, I've known since the beginning of Wild and Healing Tree.
yeah.
And Tracy in particular, if you're listening, you're gonna have a laugh at this one. So here I was, my friend Amanda invited me to this breathwork. I'd never
Mm,
heard of what breathwork was. It was completely foreign to me. I didn't
yeah.
understand the process. Anyway, so we rock up and here I am a little cocky because I've
Mm,
just worked through years of shadow work.
yeah.
And there was a part of me that was like,
Yeah.
it's left.
Yeah.
Recently learned that it just
Mm,
gets deeper in layers.
yeah.
So anyway, so I rock up with my little yoga mat and off I go thinking we're gonna have some nice breathing.
Mm,
The facilitator actually didn't explain. This one here did not explain what we were doing. There was very little information, so none of us were really prepared for this. So that
yeah.
might be something that we need to have a chat about too.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, she starts to get us to do the form that I don't think I've done this one before, but it was actually quite a complicated version. It was like a so off, and we had to sort of work on the top chest and then
Mm,
the bottom. This is going back quite a few years, so I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
so off we go, and we're all just doing our breath, and out of nowhere, this emotion hit. This emotion that was so intense. It
Mm,
was almost like, as intense as wanting the feeling of wanting to vomit. It wasn't
yeah.
that, but it's that intense of that
Mm,
that eruption of energy coming out. And I let out this agonizing, painful sound
mm,
that I've never heard come out of my body. It was like, ah!
yeah.
I was so in the moment that I couldn't
Mm,
even process what was happening. It
yeah.
caught me off guard, and it wouldn't stop. I just kept
Yeah.
like crying and howling. That's the only
Mm,
word I could find.
yeah.
And no one was expecting this. So all of a sudden, everyone was sort of looking at me like,
Mm,
what's going on? But they were already in their moment. And then all of a sudden, something really strange happened.
yeah.
Someone else started to do it. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it was like this domino effect.
Mm,
And we all started to howl. My client, Tracy, she laughs. We tell this story because she wasn't in the zone of it. So she was like,
mm,
what is happening? She was right next to me and had no idea what was going on.
yeah.
So it's really nice to know this information before you
Mm,
go in because I thought something was wrong with me. But when I came out of it and she's like, yep,
mm,
that's totally normal. That's exactly what you needed in that moment. I was able to release, like the example you gave of your
yeah.
client, huge trauma, and it was inner child trauma as well that
Yeah.
came through. And that was like, yep, game on. We're doing this again. So that was my experience, and we still laugh
Yeah.
today, but I think it's great. And I love that I gave the other women permission to
Mm,
howl as well by
yeah.
starting.
And that's often why I love group breath works. Like individual ones are fantastic. And in the group, you have that energy of everyone, and it's like popcorn. One person starts popping off, and then it is that unconscious permission to everyone to start to release their emotions. And especially if they're, quite in their heads, analytical people who are not exposed to any form of healing, really, it's like, oh, I'm allowed to feel. Now, I do believe at the start is like fully informing people what they can
Yeah.
experience, because my first time I had nothing because I was trying to control the situation, and
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not surrendering, I'm controlling it, because there is an element of surrender and you are vulnerable, so it's important to go with someone as well who you feel safe and secure with.
Yeah.
Now then right at the end, I had this beautiful epiphany, and it was me in a forest in like this big flower. And for some reason, I was naked, but it was like all these women in a circle around me. And it was like we were all like, imagine like arms on each other, like in heartbeat, almost like it was beautiful.
Wow.
And it was then what I felt like was my guides, which I'd never had access to before. And they're like, we've been waiting for you. And I was like, and then they're like, Stacey, time to come out of breath work. And I'm like, no, I don't want to, because it's this beautiful euphoric
Yeah.
state. Why I bring this up is because I believe that it's important for people to know that whatever comes up for you is fine. Some people will be howling. Like I've had people hysterically cry for an hour. I've had women almost giving birth in sessions, as
Yeah.
it is a
I've seen
rebirth
that
for
too.
them. I've had women just like want to move their bodies and need to get up and move the energy, literally move the energy out of their body. I've had
Yeah.
people just lay there the whole time and it be the best, most healing experience of their life, like just being still and calm. So whatever comes up for you is okay. And with particular holotropic, which the one you mentioned sounds like just a form of it. Like there's lots of there's some breathwork facilitators who are like, you've got to do 30 breaths in a minute. And they give all these stats, which for me, I'm like, I'm much more, I believe everyone has a unique style. So even though I'll explain how to do holotropic, which is the mouth
I liked yours. Yours was
breathing.
easy and
Yeah, that's it.
it
It
took the
takes the,
complication out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then when people are going through their journey, if they have the full permission at the start because they know what to expect, then they know that everyone's in this beautiful safe container. The next important part is the aftercare, because a lot of breathwork facilitators haven't been trained effectively in the aftercare, because for some women a lot can come up the next 2 days. You imagine you haven't felt or cried in 20 years, it's like there could be potentially a lot. So it's
Yeah.
finding facilitators who will actually say, hey, here's my phone number, if anything comes up in the next few days that you need help with, seriously, just call me, just reach out and contact me, because I am here to support you. Because it can be such a big release, especially for, I use the age bracket like late 30s to 50s, and they
Yeah.
haven't had any sort of experience like that before, or even younger. It's a lot to deal with, and wondering, why is this all coming up? Where has it all been stored in my body before? Because they're, through the breath work and bypassing that critical part of our brain, they're actually, and letting go of control, that's the other element, is they're doing the deeper healing that they can't think out their way out of. You can't
Mm.
just, you're not going to solve the problem by in the same box and the same thinking that you've had for the last 20 years. It's like you need to do
Yeah.
something to actually work through the deeper levels of the healing and let the onion layers peel off.
Yeah. This is what I love about all forms of somatic healing.
Yeah.
In the energetic, holistic side of things, I guess you could say, you don't need to find the root cause. You
Yeah.
don't even like with our inner child. Sure, we need to
Yeah.
go into story. We need to,
Mm.
go through that
Yeah.
process. But when it comes to this somatic healing approach, and I use
Mm.
quite a few different types of somatic approaches,
Mm.
it's just detecting where the energy is and
Yeah.
actually allowing the energy to tell you what it needs.
Mm.
And it's it's intelligent. This
Yeah.
energy is intelligence. It knows exactly what to do. So we don't need to know how it happened, when it happened,
Mm.
relive it, pull the spaghetti out,
No.
land it on the table. And this is such a relief and such a shock to many people. And I think this is why
Yeah.
it's transformational.
Yeah.
So many people don't want to relive the trauma and
Yeah.
the story. They're okay to feel it. They're brave
Mm.
enough to feel it. It's just the whole reliving the
Yeah.
story and going through it. You actually don't have to do that.
Even in the timeline therapy sessions or emotional change technique that I do with clients, I'm going to say more than 70% of the time, they actually don't have the full memory. It's the feeling in the body that we just need to disconnect, because it's the feeling is stored for generations and generations. And
Yeah.
our body doesn't forget, it keeps score of everything. So
Mhm.
it's just allowing them to get into that state to actually go back to the feeling, and then we can work through it and release it. However, a big thing that I'm seeing in personal development as well is that people are being re-traumatized, and it's not
Yes.
actually about that. Like
Yes.
you are not going in it to re-traumatize people. And I know coaches that do it on purpose to keep clients paying, and it breaks my heart, because you're keeping people stuck. Like, and I'm talking, these
Oh my
people
God.
are paying, upwards of $40,000 for 12 weeks, which is a very, very large investment in my opinion. And it's like,
I'm in shock.
yeah, like, and it we're not like that. And so from someone who, you know, wants to help with their clients on their healing journeys and their transformation journeys, it's like, no, you can absolutely work through all of the trauma, all of the stored emotions. You can work through all of that energy, and you don't have to re-traumatize people. Like, hardly ever do we go and talk about, even with my clients that I've worked with just a trigger warning around like sexual assault, like, it's, we don't go back to there to relive it. It stays there. It's just the
Yeah.
emotion we're dealing with. And because you keep suppressing your emotions, it actually gets stuck and it can't be healed
Yeah.
until we feel it. You got to feel it to heal it. My favorite thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why
Absolutely.
breathwork is such a great gateway to people who actually just need help to feel the emotions. And then, like yourself, it's like you go through it once and you're like, oh, I really enjoy it. Now I want to go
Mm.
deeper into the emotions and what's there. And I also like just to mention that every journey will be different. Like, I've had clients that have come to me who said, every breath work, I've had this huge light bulb moment and release. And then they may have gone to a session where they haven't felt as much. They've still got something that they
Yeah.
needed. However, it doesn't always have to be this big explosion as
Yeah.
well. It can be an internal, like my client in February, it was just tears for her, like, and that
Yeah.
was a beautiful thing that she needed. So
Yeah.
every time you do it, something else will come up. My most recent experience was, I will admit, I was a little bit in my head at the start, and I was like, oh, come on, just get into it, Stacey, get into it, because I
Yeah.
know what to do. And I was kind of
Yeah.
that internal chatter. And then I got right to the end, and it took me back to an inner child moment of, I was sent to my room because I was crying. And that very memory was what I needed in that moment, to be like, oh, that's where that is about. Oh, I just need to hide my emotion. It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
okay, now I can work through that.
Which is a really important point. And this is
Mm.
something that I've had to help my clients unwind
Yeah,
through this. And I'm sure you have too. We don't know how to feel anymore. We don't know
yeah,
how to
yes,
be with our
no,
emotions. And I'm seeing it on a regular basis. I think many of us, no matter how great our parents are, no matter how
mm,
amazing they are, when we were kids, we weren't allowed to be angry because that was
no,
naughty. We weren't
yeah,
allowed to be upset because it made people uncomfortable. We weren't
mm,
even allowed to really be fearful because that was silly. We weren't
yes,
allowed to be, or, anxious. So it was this message continuously shove those emotions away, push them
mm,
down. We're only really allowed to be happy, but not too happy that we're
yeah,
annoying
yeah,
or peaceful.
yeah,
So it's almost like our happiness was capped too.
yes,
So as adults, if you don't learn those skills as a child, of how to be with your emotions.
mm,
What happens is when we get to an adult situation and we feel anxious, anxious is just a normal emotion like any
mm,
other emotion, and it's very, very helpful. It lets us know when we might not be safe or we need to get
yeah,
moving with something. But what
mm,
happens is you feel that anxiety and you go, oh no, something's wrong with me. I'm
yeah,
feeling anxious. And
mm,
then you get anxious about the fact that you're anxious and you
yes,
start to panic that you're starting to panic. And then
yeah,
this whirlwind occurs. No wonder people are having panic attacks and anxiety
mm,
attacks because they're
yeah,
trying to suppress this and they think there's something wrong with them for
mm,
having this emotion. And
mm,
what would have been this really temporary emotion that would have come and gone has now become something that's
yeah,
surrounded them for days, maybe even weeks.
mm,
So, learning as an adult how to actually feel emotions and not make it mean something is wrong with you is
mm,
so crucial because they pass
yeah.
and they
They
release.
they have that wave of, they will peak and then they will fall if we allow it to flow through us. Like, it's, I love the emotional timeline that it's like, you, how can you possibly feel full joy and happiness if you can't experience full grief and sadness? And, you know, we're taught that as kids, and then as teenagers we're trying to fit in, so we mask ourselves again, and then as adults it's like, oh, we've got to put on a facade and things have got to be perfect, and then you put in social media on top of that, people showing their highlight reels. It's no wonder that people are scared to feel, or they think something's wrong with them. It is a bit of a epidemic, I guess, that
Yeah.
I do worry. And I'm so glad there's healers and there's alternative methods now of people teaching that emotional intelligence, because we have to relearn it to then teach it to the next generation. Like, yeah, I recently had a client under her doctor's supervision before she started to work with me, come off her anxiety medication. And it's been 9 months now, and we only started working together about a month ago. However, for her, it's this whole relearning process of like,
Yeah.
Stacey, I'm feeling all these emotions. Oh my God. And it's like, and then, you know, allowing her to recognize that they will pass. But for a long time, they were all masked and she couldn't
Yeah.
feel anything. So it's almost like she's this 5-year-old girl again, having all these ups and downs, learning how to navigate life.
Yeah.
And though she wants to do it and she feels in a position to do it now, so like that's obviously not medical advice for anyone, but it's great as an example to go, how can you learn to move through it, knowing it is only temporary, knowing that
Exactly.
and using like somatic stuff, like shifting your state, getting out. Like I do a lot of crazy dancing or whatnot. It's like using humor for me works. If I'm feeling in a bit of a funk, it's like I'll go and do like silly dancing with the kids,
Yeah.
and it's like immediately you feel better. So what if we could learn these tools, and even using breath work in your day-to-day life, like to help calm your nervous system? Because you got to think, when your emotions go up, we go up to that fight or flight. We're stressed, we're having feelings of anxiety, we're like, oh my gosh, we're uncertain, like it brings up a lot. It's like a bubbling pot. If we can use breath work to slowly bring our nervous system down in a matter of minutes, anywhere, anytime, it's free, then you can move forward. One thing I love to share with my clients is it's not about avoiding the emotion, it's actually just shortening the window. So, if you have the anxious feeling, it's like it doesn't have to take over the next month. Like, what if we can work through that anxious feeling in a day and shorten that
Mm.
feeling of the emotion? Or, I mean, grief is not a great example because that will come and go in waves, but anger, even. Okay, how can
Mm.
we positively use that anger and break out of that good girl
It's showing your
shadow?
boundaries being
Yeah,
crossed, you know?
exactly. Like, how can you use it in an effective way? And so, like, even some clients, when we're learning how to use our anger, it's like they'll go to a boxing class, just to actually get it out,
Yeah.
or use their breathing to recenter again. Coming back, it's all linked into our nervous system, and it's all linked into getting out of that fight or flight mode, which isn't great for our health ultimately. So,
Yeah. And I remember even in nursing school, this is before I even
mm,
got into my transpersonal psychology
yeah,
training. And basically, they said something very, very important. And it was around the fact that when you go into sympathetic mode, you're in fight and flight. So
yeah,
you are, in the same state as if you would be being chased by a saber-toothed tiger,
yeah,
except the bills in the letterbox are the
yeah,
saber-toothed tiger now,
yeah,
or the email that pops up. But the parasympathetic mode, it only is initiated when the body feels safe enough to be able to go into rest and digest.
yeah,
So parasympathetic mode is when the body is like, okay, I'm safe, I'm not in a scary situation, I can totally let my guard down, I can totally be.
mm,
So when we do slow breathing techniques, it doesn't really matter which one you choose, if it's any of them really. What
mm,
it does is it tells the brain, hang on, if she's sitting here breathing slowly, there's no chance there's a saber-toothed tiger
yeah,
because we wouldn't do that if this was dangerous. So it just instantly tells the body, no, 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 we're
mm,
good. The
yeah,
danger's over. We can
yeah,
actually just rest and digest and be in
mm,
parasympathetic. We
mm.
can bring the blood and oxygen back into all of our important organs, and it doesn't have to all be in the extremities so we can run and fight. We can actually
Yeah,
get back to the brain.
yeah. And that's modern society these days. As you said, it's the email, the bill, the seeing something on social media. Like, it creates that feeling unconsciously for people that they're always living up here at capacity, and most of the time unaware. That's the thing, because we just have normalized feeling like that. And it's normal to just feel stressed, and it's normal to, not sleep well. It's normal to feel anxiety. It's like, no, it's actually, just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal,
That's
and
right.
it's using breath work, particularly for me, has been one of the biggest things, like just in day-to-day life. Like, even sometimes it's sitting in the car with my kids, and they've got Bluey on the DVDs, and it's doing those conscious breaths to bring you back down, to bring everything
Yeah.
back down, to remind your body it's not in fight or flight. Because if we expand that fight or flight mode out, and some people I know freeze and fawn as well with the other F's, but it's also going, if we expand that out and we are constantly living in that state, what else is going to be going on for you? You're not going to be fully present in your life or experiencing things, or you'll be distracted around your kids. Like, I speak to a lot of mums and dads in particular. It's like, I feel distracted all the time. Like, because you're living up here, we need to drop you back down. And using, so like, some of the ones I love, I know we've spoken about holotropic, and as I said, that is a transformational kind of breath work, dealing with trauma, dealing with stored emotions. Make sure you go with someone who is fully trained in the field. Some other basic breath works that you could do at home is like the box breathing, your 4 breaths in, hold for 4, down for 4, then hold for 4. I actually just get a lot of people to do an extended exhale. So it's like maybe they're breathing in for 4 seconds and then it's aiming for 6 seconds out. And each time expanding that. So maybe you might then, I know at the start, if I'm feeling in that fight or flight mode, it's like I can only breathe in for 3 seconds and it's 3 seconds out. Doing it for 3 minutes and getting longer and longer each time, you literally feel your shoulders drop and you're like, ah.
Yeah.
Or even just circular conscious breathing. So breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, and without any pauses, is that can also help people as well. There's the thing with breath work is there's so many different types. And as you said, is like you need to find the one that works for you. So for me, it's the extended exhale one. That always brings me straight back down within 30 seconds. I'm calm and I can refocus and regroup. For other people, it's like when I first started laying on the ground and doing belly breathing, just
Yeah.
focusing on breathing in and then out. So we take it from our upper chest down to our belly, we can reground. I know, for instance, some of my clients who are struggling to focus will do an alternate nasal breathing. So it's like you breathe in through one side, hold, and then out the other side.
And that one is real. I use that for those clients that are very similar to me. I
Mm,
have undiagnosed ADHD.
yeah, me too.
Um, I just can't be bothered getting the diagnosis. I'm
Yeah,
like, my whole family has it. So,
yeah.
and I'm 10 times worse than them.
For me, it doesn't change anything.
It was a nightmare when I didn't know the
Mm,
techniques, when I didn't know all these little tricks and tips to make it
mm,
work. But now I actually amplify the sides that really work for me, the
yeah,
entrepreneur skills, the hyper
yeah,
focus, because you've got this ability to think outside the box like crazy. So
yeah.
with ADHD, when I do get really stuck in my head, or when my
Mm,
clients get really stuck in their head, you need something to break the loop of
yeah.
being hijacked.
Mm,
So the alternating nostril, it is so hard to concentrate.
yeah.
So you've got to focus on what you're doing and think about what you're doing. As it gets you present. And I
Yeah.
talk about being present all the time,
Mm,
typical meditation teacher. But it's all about really getting out of the head, stop
mm,
thinking about the past and the future, and getting into the
mm,
present moment. What a beautiful way to get
yeah.
you present.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
being present leads into that fulfillment in each area because you can truly experience whether it's work, kids, just you can experience the sunshine. Like I know for me, from someone who spent, it feels like my whole life, apart from the last sort of 5 years, in my head, spending all that time in my head, I actually feel like I woke up. It was this most bizarre feeling of actually I can experience life with such a different lens now, just focusing on being present and using breath work and other little tools. Like I mentioned, I do the silly dancing or the wiggles we put on something, make it fun. Or, some of my clients use exercise, like they'll just go and do 20 push-ups to get them out of
Yeah.
their head. It's like something as simple as just watching my kids play in the pool. Like I feel so much joy from that now. Whereas all those years, I don't know, I feel like I just was not there and I probably wasn't
Yeah.
there for them. Even my son, so my eldest is nearly 17, and he's like, Mum, you're such a different mum now. I'm like, yeah, because I can truly be present in this life. And that's what I love to
Yeah.
share with people. When we talk about the past, a lot of people focus on the past or the what ifs in the future. It's funny how then that links into that shadow work because if you're too far out from the present, then those underlying unconscious shadows can start to rule, or not rule, but they can start to
Yeah, they
dictate your
do. It's
actions and your
hijack.
behaviors. And yeah, it hijacks everything. So it's like, how can we keep bringing ourselves to being in the present? So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's a beautiful, whatever breath work is going to work for you, or whatever tool is going to work for you, whether that's
Yeah.
push-ups or dancing to the wiggles. But you need to find your thing, and no one can
Yeah.
just give you the answer. That is,
No, you got to try them.
yeah, exactly. You have to experience it.
Absolutely. And that's, I'm a huge lover of breath work. I don't start
Mm,
any of my meditation without some form of
yeah.
light breath work. So I
Mm.
have this little, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to do my meditations. You might want to try
Not
one
yet.
now.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
They're guided journeys.
Mm,
For those of you watching as well, good time to plug this. I actually have created a ad-free meditation library because I was getting so much slack on YouTube
mm.
from listeners going, I love your meditation, Sarah, but these ads are driving me
Oh,
insane. I get paid. I don't have any choice around the
yeah.
ads. I'm not at that stage where I have enough following to be able to
Yeah.
monetize it and select it. So I created this free
Mm.
meditation library. Feel free to use it for your clientele and pass it on.
Yeah.
It goes to anyone.
Yeah.
It's my contribution to the world.
Mm.
So they're not perfectly recorded. They are just me channeling my little
Mm.
butt off. But I always start off with the first few minutes doing the same thing. So there's some predictability. And we always start off with feeling how the air runs through the nose and then feeling how the air runs through our throat and our chest and our stomach.
Mm.
And I will never start it without it because it's that real present moment of, oh, I breathe this way. Oh, I feel the air running through this way. Oh my,
Yeah.
I wasn't breathing correctly because we don't
Yeah.
breathe
No,
properly. None of us do.
no. And even more so when people are in that 10 out of 10 flight or flight mode, it's this, we don't actually breathe. We're not conscious in our breathing, like it just happens. And so this is where I think unless you're exposed to something like a breathwork or meditation or even hypnosis, it's like you then have that conscious awareness, like, oh, I actually am not breathing properly in my day to day. And you can pick it up now. Like in the
Yeah.
past, I never picked up that I was so shallow breathing. And so
Yes.
sometimes if I'm feeling a lot of emotion, I will put my hands here to notice, how am I breathing? Is it short and sharp? Is it, do I need to take that minute to come back?
Children are much better than us at
Yeah.
this. When I was in another lifetime ago, when I was working in safety, health and safety in the mining industry, even with posture and stuff like that, I used to do these little safety talks. Oh God, this
Mm.
is like 100 years ago. And I would show how children, there's this little clip of how children pick up a box. I know this is off
Mm.
topic. And the
Yeah.
children would have a nice straight box, straight back, and then they would bend their legs naturally. They
Yeah.
haven't been programmed out.
Mm.
So if you watch how children breathe, how they move their
Yeah.
body, it's much more ideal. And we can learn a lot from how children actually use their body
Yeah.
naturally.
Our biggest thing, like we experience a lot of emotions, especially in the caravan, it being a small space, and especially when it's raining and we're
Oh,
confined, is you will hear my kids say, take a breath. And they have that awareness that it's like they'll put their hands wherever they feel like they need to put the breath to, because it's like, okay, where's the emotion in your body? Okay, I'm
oh,
feeling angry.
brilliant.
And it's like, where's that anger? And it's like they'll put their hands there and take a breath, and then they, once they calm, and then we can talk, because it's almost, if you, well, my son, he's probably ADHD if I were to get him diagnosed, but he literally sees red when he's in the thick of emotions and nothing will calm down. However, breath work has, and he knows that he can create that safety with himself and calm
Wow.
himself down and take a breath. And sometimes they start off like, and then and you see his little fist and his little face scrunch up, but then it comes back to calm, and it's like,
Yeah,
what an effective tool. Or I've
yeah.
seen she's a local beverage mama, my mindful play or something, anyway, she's got like the rainbow breathing for kids, and it's like
Oh,
tracing using the breath. We can learn so much from kids. Like
amazing.
if we think about going back to the conditioning when we were children, you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to act a certain way. Looking at the kids now, yes, I notice my kids have big flares of emotion. However, equip them with the tools now so
Yeah.
they can become regulated adults. they
This is so important, Stacey.
mm,
I think I spent, like you mentioned before, your children seeing such a
mm,
different parent in you now that you're doing the work and you're
yeah.
showing up this way. I'm constantly evolving as a parent. And I
Same.
realize that I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
I'm still definitely not 100% there,
Yeah.
but I've definitely got a parent that keeps
Mm,
trying. I'll give
mm,
them that. But, I'm really big on showing them it's okay to feel
yeah.
and just breaking the trauma around breaking the generational trauma around not
Mm,
being able to feel. And the other day, I'm working with a lot of palliative care clients at the moment, helping
yeah.
them transition
Yeah.
and energetically. So, as much as we are professionals and
Mm,
we have to not let this stuff get to us, I'm a human being with a
mm,
heart, really big heart. And, the other day, I'm probably going to get teary even talking
mm,
about it now. I found out that one of my clients is sick. Oh,
mm,
here I go. And see, it affects us. You work with clients for a couple of years and then,
mm,
you know, and I lost it. I just started to
mm,
I'm so emotional. I'm such an emotional person. I will never
mm,
apologize for that either.
mm.
And I got teary and I had a moment and
Mm.
it became this ugly cry of and
Yeah.
there was snot everywhere. And then
Mm,
and all the kids came to me and they're like, "Are you okay?" And my first instinct was pull it together for them.
Yeah.
But I went, no. And I let it out and I
Mm,
cried. And I said, Mummy's sad because
mm,
her friend is sick.
mm.
And it's okay to be sad about that. And
Yeah.
then my little one is so empathic that she starts getting glassy eyed
Mm.
and we have a little bit of a tear together. I thought, wow, it's okay to show them that. And
My,
sure enough, they went in with the whole, okay, mummy, breathe on, instantly did some Reiki on me because they're
mm,
attuned. I was like,
I love that.
wow, this is different.
It's such a powerful thing. My daughter, we have that kind of bond as well. She feels everything that I feel. And my youngest, we call him Healing Half because he just knows when people just, it's almost like he's doing Reiki, but he's only 3. He's not attuned or anything.
Just
He'll
a
just come
natural
in,
healer.
he'll just
Yeah.
come and lay on whatever part of your body needs healing. It's quite beautiful.
Oh,
Anywho, it's also, I feel like being able to label what you're feeling, and
yeah.
instead of just shutting yourself down and going, no, I'm okay, and I don't want the emotion to come up, that because maybe it's fear of judgment, or
Yeah.
you've been told that you can't do that, you've got to be perfect or
Yeah.
whatnot. But it's like, I give my clients, and I'm sure you would have seen the feel wheel with all the different feelings, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, it's anger, that's a core emotion. What's underneath it? Okay, well, what's underneath that? And actually being able to take it and make it not mean something about yourself, like you said at the start. It's like, no, this is the emotion that I'm feeling. Okay, I'm feeling anger because this is happening, and that's okay to feel it, validating it, expressing it healthily, shortening that window, being able to move through it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all on our soul's journey, and I do believe in the like soul contracts and things like that. But we're also here to be human and to experience it all. So
Exactly.
it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be funny. It's okay to be excited. It's okay to be all of it, just being you.
And
And
it's
giving,
okay to stuff up
yeah,
because we
that's it.
all stuff up.
We do. Like, I know all the tools. I've been through the training. I'm on this constant journey. Like, I've realized that it's a never-ending journey, which is,
Oh,
some days I'm like, oh, why did I start? Like, this is, it feels like the layers just keep coming.
my little ones just give me some water. Sorry.
Beautiful. But it's also how beautiful that we get to experience that. And I
Mm,
still occasionally will snap at my kids. And then, though, it's in the follow-up of like, mummy was feeling this,
yeah,
and showing them that it's okay to be human and to, you
exactly.
don't have to be perfect.
That's so important. Cleaning it up.
Mm,
I actually learned that in a I wish I could remember the name for it because I've got to go and research it because it was
mm,
a really good program. I did this online parenting program because we were having a
yeah,
few issues with my daughter. She's such a big character.
mm,
And I didn't know how to parent her because she's so different to me. I'm a people pleaser
mm,
and
mm.
she's not. And I'm really glad that
Yeah.
it's amazing, but I also have to survive her too. So
What a great reflection for you, though, to go, okay,
yeah, and
I
I
don't have
admire
to.
her. I admire her every day, honestly.
Mm,
And we did this little program and I learned so many cool things about it's okay to be that distracted mum that,
mm,
snaps at your children and overwhelmed,
mm.
but you must always clean it up.
Yeah.
Always clean it. And this goes for, not just for kids, but anyone in your
Mm,
life. You
yeah.
stuff up, take a moment, brush yourself off, and go
Mm,
clean it up.
yeah.
And clean it up by, hey, I stuffed up. Let me
Yeah.
have a moment. And
Mm,
this is what we do when we stuff up. This is what we do when we go wobbly.
yeah.
We apologize, we move forward,
Mm,
we have some, and I end up having a lot of quality time with my children after I stuff up
yeah.
because we're able to break through some barriers.
Mm,
Last night I was really busy editing something and I was not feeling well and,
mm,
it was all over the place. And my daughter came in, she's trying to get my attention. I'm like,
mm,
and I didn't realize I was pushing her away. And
mm.
you always work, Mum. I'm happy
Yeah.
with you. You don't give me any
Yeah.
attention. And I was like, oh no, that's bad.
Mm,
And come on, come and have a chat. And off we
yeah.
went. We had this beautiful conversation. It was lovely.
Yeah.
So there's
I love that.
opportunities in our stuff ups to have
Mm.
these most amazing moments.
And like, we've never been this age before, or never had these kids at this age before. Like, we are all constantly learning. And that
Yeah.
was such a big permission piece for me to go, hey, it's okay. I spent 30 years, say, trying to be perfect. It's like, no, life just gets to be so much more better when you can embrace that. However, breaking that initial barrier, that's, I think, the hardest part, because when you get deeper into your journey and you've got the awareness, you're like, okay, no, this is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to shift and change and develop. And at the start, though, and that's where, leading back to breath work, is, it's like, having that initial release or the feelings or the transformation in such a rapid pace then allows you to open everything up. It's like a can of
Yeah.
worms.
Oh, Stacey, this has been so great. Honestly, I think I could probably talk to you for hours and
Yes,
hours and hours.
me too.
Because you really get it. Like, you're really one of those beautiful coaches out there that understands the ethics around what we're doing.
Mm,
You understand what's important, and you are actually living through your own transformations continuously. You're
yeah,
not, I'm done.
I'm healed.
I'm here and you're over there. And I think that's really important when we're really real and we're everyday mums.
Mm,
It doesn't, you don't have to be a mum to be
mm,
good at this either, but it gives you a little skill as
yeah,
well. You're real
mm,
and you can really meet people where they're at and give them
yeah,
so much help. So I really appreciate coaches like yourself, hence why I
mm,
wanted you on today. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing. And I will
thank you.
continue to send people your way because I think it's really important. So tell us, I know that you're traveling at the moment, but
Hmm.
you're doing a lot of distant work as well.
Yep.
So my audience are probably going to want to reach out and learn a bit
Yeah.
more from you. So how are they going to be able to get in touch with you?
The best way to reach out is via Instagram or Facebook. My Insta is at the underscore Stacey underscore Alison underscore, just to make it a little bit complex because my name was taken. I'm active on socials, and I also, maybe I'll pop my email in there too for those that aren't on socials. If you would like to learn more about the different work that I do, and when I do have events, I will be back in Melbourne around Christmas, January. So we'll definitely be doing more breathwork sessions then as well. I'd, yeah, love to reach out to anyone who's curious. And that's all it takes sometimes, is just being a little bit curious about, hey, maybe there's more for me. Maybe there's a different way to do life.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stacey, I'm definitely going to have you in my studio because I know my
Yes.
community are going to just absolutely love having you here. So when you get those dates right, you let me
Yeah,
know. We'll
I
see
will.
at the studio to have a
Yes.
little class as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, look, keep in touch. You're absolutely amazing. Keep doing the work that you're doing because you're phenomenal.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate, yeah, you invited me onto the podcast, and I agree. We could talk for hours.
And
And
you have your own podcast. Give it
oh
a plug
yes.
as well.
Yes. So it's actually, I'm in the process of a rebrand. However, at the moment, it's Happy, Healthy, and Healing. And the first season was literally my healing journey in real time. It was, going through all different experiences and sharing about that. And, throughout season 2 and 3 has a little bit more like tips, real things that you can implement in action. Because I feel like what I found is people are like, oh, Stacey, it's great to have the knowledge and the awareness. However, I want stuff I can implement straight away without having to go invest
Yeah.
in coaching or whatnot. Just make a start. So it's very practical. Sometimes there's just mixed episodes of me ranting or crying, or, it's very real and raw. However, it is a conversation mixed with knowledge and tips and tricks all in one. I definitely want to get you on my podcast too, because I feel like we can have beautiful conversations about more, expanding more on from today's chat.
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. I would
mm,
be honored. It would be amazing.
mm.
So watch that space, guys. Oh,
Yes.
it's 11:11 here. I don't know
uh
where you are, but how cool is
yeah.
that?
It's we're in the sunny coast. It's still the same time zone for another
Oh, I've got
couple of weeks. So
11:11 here,
yeah.
so I'll represent that for us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stacey. You're absolutely amazing.
Thank
Appreciate all
you.
your time.
Thank you.